Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Monday, October 7, 2024 meeting. I declare the meeting open in accordance with...
Recording in progress.
In accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20. Notice is hereby given that the ZBA will meet on Monday night, tonight, October 7, 2024, in Town Meeting Hall, Room 124. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in person at 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, or by the remote Zoom connection provided. Please note that the in-person meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the remote connection. Okay, so I'll have a vote to open the meeting.
I make a motion to open the meeting for October 7th.
Any discussion? All those in, is there a second to open the meeting? All right, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye. Joe Sebastiano.
Tim Martin, aye.
Josephine Kordahay, aye.
Mike Brogan, aye.
All right, thank you. And so the meeting is open. So being 7:05, we have an appointment this evening with Mr. DePlacido regarding relocation of the mailboxes on Cleveland Street.
Cleveland Village Green. Yeah. I think, Mr. Chairman, all right. Probably be good to actually get the overview from Blair Crane,
Okay.
our DPW
Welcome.
director, and then
Good evening. Somebody's filmed it away there, but... Good evening.
You have the visual behind you.
Yes. Blair Crane, Director of Public Works, Town of Norfolk. So just to kind of backstep a little bit here, a couple of years ago now, we went through this process to look at Village Green, where Mr. DePlacido, as part of his permit, was made to pave Village Green. During that process, there was a hearing here, and part of the only condition for the installation of the sidewalk was that the mailboxes could not be moved
To the other side of the street.
anywhere. They were not to be touched.
I think it's to the other side of the
To the
street.
other side of the street.
In any event, so here we are.
Without our approval. You could move them
Right.
on that side of the street all you want.
So with that, there were a lot of issues here. I talked with numerous residents that obviously were concerned about drainage issues. An individual who was not interested in having the sidewalk further away from the road than he could, I believe at number 3 Village Green, because of his parking area and his driveway. There were tree concerns on the sharp corner as you go into Village Green on the left-hand side, coming further away from the road there. Became a problem with the 3 massive pine trees that are there and would have cut into the roots. There was a tree at the time further down the road at 7, between 7 and 9, I believe, where we ended up having to take it out anyway to do the water main work. But that was initially an issue with that as well when we went to lay it out in the very beginning stages. That being said, at this point there are a couple of mailboxes that are all right, but there are clearly a couple that one of 2 things really need to happen in order to make them compliant. One would be to move them to the other side of the road, and then the other would be to turn them parallel to the existing road. What I fear with turning them parallel to the existing road is that snow, not that we've had much as of late, but snow will pile up on the sidewalk, and the town does not maintain those sidewalks during the winter, and so the post office will end up having an issue trying to deliver the mail with snow on the sidewalk. I don't have a problem myself. I have talked to the Millis postmaster, and Millis is in charge of delivering mail in Norfolk. I have had conversations with the Millis postmaster, and he's not adverse to whatever solution we come up with. But again, it is my fear that snow will inhibit that if we don't move them. If the residents are willing to clean off the snow and to maintain that, I'm not adverse to allowing them to be turned. But clearly, in order to have the 48 inches, there are a few that are going to have to be moved in order to facilitate that.
And if they were parallel to the street, would the post office drive up on the sidewalk to deliver the mail?
Yes, there are a few, as long as they have access by vehicle. It's not uncommon for that to happen in rural settings, and there are quite a few in Norfolk that are back away from the road like that.
So I'll open it up to the board for questions before we go to the audience.
And are we looking at the final product, or are we looking at just a,
No, it's still,
That's the
That's existing condition.
okay.
Right.
And so
And this-
what kind of curbing will be there?
it's just a Cape Cod berm there.
Okay.
And that's, the village green still needs to be topped. So that's just the base course of asphalt right now, because we wanted to get through this before finishing it up and doing it permanently. So if we were to pick them up and move them, then obviously those holes would be patched, and then the final coat of asphalt would be put over the top.
Is there a berm on Cleveland Street?
No,
No.
No.
it's a Cape Cod berm up to the sidewalk.
The sidewalk comes around the corner from Maine, turns down Cleveland, then it dies into a Cape Cod style berm with no grass strip.
Rockford Road
Right
has
there,
berm, or like
A
a
yeah,
little
concrete.
bit of both, depending on where it is.
the corner does, the radius
Yeah.
does.
We start with 4. Just stay with there.
So Blair, do you have a recommendation for the board?
I think that the genesis of this entire discussion was trying to, for all intents and purposes, appease everybody, right? There were people that didn't want to cross the road.
Right.
There were people that didn't want trees missing from their front yard. There's been a wide variety of reasons why they didn't want to move for one reason or another. Unfortunately, you can't put the sidewalk in the same place as the mailbox to make it compliant, as we can see already. So I think that, I'm certainly open to one of, to any solution that works. Clearly, we have to do something.
Okay. Anybody from the board have any questions before we go to the public?
I just wanted to read what we changed in the comprehensive permit. It says to replace paragraph with the following: the installation of sidewalk along Village Green and Cleveland Street, as well as the roadway improvements to Village Green, off-site improvements shall be under the direction of the Department of Public Works. The off-site improvements shall best fit into the existing conditions. The existing mailboxes will remain on the same side of the street they are located. If they need to be relocated, they will need zoning board of appeals approval. We're not saying you have to, on the same side of the street, fine, do whatever you need to do.
Okay.
If they have to go across the street, that's up to, it has to come back before us because there was such an outcry from the public. So we just said that. But if it's on, so whatever, it's in your purview, as far as I see, Department of Public Works, to put those mailboxes on Cleveland Street as long as they're on the same side of the street as they were before. Don't care if they're sideways, perpendicular, upside down, or sideways, or up on the house. That's the way I thought we discussed it. The off-site improvements shall be completed by October 15th, so you're kind of running close. But the biggest thing that we had heard at the meeting was the Cleveland Street mailboxes. They needed to be on the same side of the street as the home. They can't go across the street. That was the biggest one. The Cleveland Street ones were the biggest that we were concerned with. We did talk about some trees and stuff, but we left that completely to your purview. That's why it said to the Department of Public Works.
And I think we've done a fairly good job of trying to save, especially the trees on the corner. That was the initial onus, but besides not putting in the grass strip, because it was going to cut another 2 feet there, plus whatever you needed to blend the sidewalk. That's why the sidewalk is 4 feet, not 5 feet. Because there were a lot of places where, the number 3 wanted to keep as much of his driveway as he could, because that's where he keeps his campers. Obviously, the trees on the corner, there were a number of issues there, so we've really tried to accommodate each individual homeowner as best we can, working down, through this issue.
And we figured you would, so that's why
Yeah,
we
I
left
mean-
it to you.
You pull 4.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll open it up to the public, and if you want to have any questions or concerns, this is a great time. Just identify yourself, and we'd love to hear from you.
Sure. Hang on, one second. Oh, sorry.
You got to take a microphone.
Whoa, I don't think I need
You do for
It's
people
not for
home.
in here, so they can hit tip for recording.
I can. Hi,
Maggie Weil for Cleveland Street. That was our photo up there. I do have some questions, and I don't know if maybe I'm looking at an outdated document, but so you had talked about, I just heard you mention that you went down to 4 feet instead of 5 feet.
Yes.
So what I was looking at was that it was supposed to be a monolithic berm, a 3-foot grass strip, and 5-foot asphalt. It's not ADA compliant at 4 feet.
Minimum of 48 inches with no obstruction.
Right.
And,
No obstruction.
right, with no obstruction.
No obstruction, meaning no mailbox.
Right. Okay.
Right.
As it stands right now, we'll move the mailbox, whatever. The berm, what? I mean, we the town.
Address
town.
the board, please, because we can't hear you when you're talking like that.
The town will move the mailbox, yeah. The berm, there's no separation from this incredibly busy street. There's no physical barrier. There's no visual barrier. And it really blends right in. It's very dangerous. You guys have to know Cleveland Street is very busy.
Right, so when you start to add in items, you're right, the original plan was for a grass strip, was for a 5-foot sidewalk, and a number of residents had problems with killing the trees on the corner. When you start to eat up that space, 3 feet and 5 feet, plus what you blend in on the back side of that, you're almost 10 feet, if you have 10 feet.
That's fine. We're not opposing it, so why can't we do it on Cleveland Street?
But
I
that,
think that's the busier street. That's the more concern for pedestrian traffic.
Yeah,
And high speed, someone coming off of 115 onto Cleveland Street,
so
where's the vehicle protection?
Cleveland does not have the right-of-way to do that.
okay. If you,
Cleveland Street does not have the amount of right-of-way, which is the amount of space that you legally need to put all of those items in. To put a 3-foot berm, if you see the white fence that goes down the side of Cleveland, that is on private property outside of the right-of-way. There's a right-of-way that the town legally has access to.
we measured it today, and there's 10 feet.
I have,
Maybe the road may not be quite center. I mean, I don't have the plans in front of me, but
rarely is.
I don't know is it 24-foot right away there? And I don't know.
it does vary throughout town. Some places it's as narrow as 22 feet, and some places it's 50.
Well, you may be able to measure 10 feet from the side of the pavement of the road to the fence or something. That doesn't mean it's 10 feet of right-of-way. He's working off the engineering plans.
Your property line, Maggie, may actually be this side of the fence.
The grass.
It sounds like it is.
Is what
Right.
they're telling us.
Can I give up a foot of my property to the town?
That would,
It's easier said than done, but
realistically, you could.
Sure.
But there is hoops that have to be jumped through in order to do that.
I'll jump.
Something that possibly should have been looked at prior to us coming here tonight. Just saying, because in the comprehensive permit, it did say this was how it was supposed to be. And we didn't change that. All we changed was that we're going to give it to your purview because of the trees and stuff on Village Green. That was all, we were really only discussing Village Green. Cleveland Street had to do with mailboxes only, not with the way that it was changing. So in our permit that we printed to the Placido and Company was that this was the way it was to be done. We would like to see it done that way.
So
But
if you'll
if you
notice,
can't-
if you'll notice in that photo right there, we had to put in a special catch basin, storm drain for the side of the road right there because of the narrowness of the right-of-way. There wasn't room there to put drainage in down the side. On top of that, the tree would have had to go. So when you set all of this in and you try to make that work, plus the grade drops down, there isn't enough space there to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. We did take a look at that.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Certainly.
I know in some cases when the sidewalks have to be really abutting the road right against it, the transition sometimes can show the sidewalk is sometimes a little more elevated than the roadway. Is that another way to help decipher the sidewalk versus the road, or?
It just depends on geographical location, yeah. I mean, you could certainly elevate it,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, It's not going to keep somebody from driving up on the top, onto the sidewalk. You also have to look at snow removal as well. So it is possible. Unfortunately, there just isn't a lot of space here to work. We did look at all of those options before we made that decision. Hence the having to have the special precast storm drain made. And we had one made for that, as well as we had one done for Village Green for the same type of issue. There's not enough right-of-way there to take up 10, 12, 14 feet by the time you're done grading it all back in.
If the mailboxes were to remain on the same side of the street as they are now, what would you propose?
If the post, obviously to make it as easy as possible for the postman, I would try to put the mailbox right against the sidewalk and turn it parallel to the road. That makes it so that otherwise if you keep it perpendicular to the road, so the mailbox is accessible by the mailman, you're further away.
Right.
Doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing, but from a functionality standpoint, I am concerned though with snow removal. Not that it's been a problem recently, but this is New England.
That mailbox there, at 4, it could be brought closer to their driveway,
Oh, absolutely.
as well, because at that point, the sidewalk's starting to come up, and there is a drop-off to get back to the street. It's not flush with Cleveland there.
Correct.
So
That might be true of the second house, I'm not sure, on
The
Cleveland.
second one, well, we get to that one next, that one actually could be moved around the corner.
It could
on
be,
Village
right,
Green.
right.
So
I mean, I had talked to the postmaster about that. The postmaster did not, I guess there was originally a concern about the individual at 6 having to change their address. And the postmaster didn't have an opinion one way or the other. He said, he just cares that there's a mailbox.
The envelopes are in the right order.
Absolutely. So
If the
that was
sidewalks- The
inconsequential.
sidewalks aren't plowed.
Correct.
It might be better for the homeowner to have the mailbox near their driveway, because their driveway would probably be, it's controlled by them.
I would agree. And I think that, at this point, my personal opinion is to, try to accommodate each individual person as best we can, and still, at the same time, make it accessible.
I think you probably, let's go through this, let's go one by one,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Each one. 4 Cleveland Street, go back to that one.
Yep.
If you don't mind. And then, does that make sense for you at 4?
What about it? I'm sorry.
To
To go parallel.
Or moving towards the driveway.
Yeah, so we're not convinced,
of
We're
what?
not convinced
me and
about-
David are not convinced about the safety here.
No.
If this is going to be the sidewalk, minus the mailbox,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with
The
that.
number of cars that
I mean,
are on
our permit, our special, or if you want to call the comprehensive permit, we had Cleveland Street was to have a 3-foot grass, and then we were supposed to have a 5-foot thing. Now, I would assume that somewhere in the whole process of development, somebody came back and said, we don't have enough room there. Today is the 7th of October, and you have until October 15th to get this done. Nobody came back before this and told us that they couldn't do it? I'm confused, because in reality, there should be either a concrete berm or a granite berm that comes off of Rockland Road that goes right down into Village Green, stops right there at Village Green, doesn't have to go any further, but there should be a grass strip and a sidewalk and a mailbox that's up against the fence, turned sideways so that somebody can get it.
Put the mailbox in the first
grass strip.
Make the grass
Absolutely.
strip 1.5 feet.
And put the sidewalk behind
in
it.
the first grass strip, and
Which is
then
fine.
move the sidewalks back.
Well, Blair can speak for himself, but I think you talked about the trees.
Right,
No,
there's no right of way there in order to accomplish what you're trying to do, and I don't know how that came about. I wasn't part of this development process right from the get-go. I was handed this in the 11th hour as the permit came,
I get that you weren't the original,
so,
But
we're only dealing with 2 people on Cleveland.
Correct.
On Village Green, I'm fine with the way it is. There's not car coming off at 45 miles an hour. all right? You're in Village Green.
Oh,
Here,
they fly.
I know, I live on Seacog Street. This is Cleveland Street. It's just as bad, all right?
Maybe not quite as bad.
Yeah, but honest to God,
Well, you-
I went down and looked at that, and it looks like you widened the road. It looks like the plow's just gonna come around, take 4 more feet of snow off the road, which will clear the sidewalk for Maggie, but then the snow's gonna go right into that fence line. If you put a curb, it's gonna limit the snow, right? It's gonna catch the plow. It's not gonna allow you to go 5 feet up into her yard. It's gonna hold you off. We're not talking about doing the whole Cleveland Street. It's 2 frontage, 2 lots of frontage. My opinion, if I was on the board at that time, that's the safety, that's the vehicle safety. That's why it's there. So talking about the others, I'm okay with anything you want to do about moving them. These 2 here,
So you're suggesting the curb?
put the curb, then 1.5 foot of grass, turn the mailbox
Put the mailbox in the
sideways.
grass strip, turn
And put the-
sideways, and then put the
Right, and
the
guy-
sidewalk behind it.
And the mailman can reach right in the
Is there
box
room
from
in
the
the right
road.
way for that, is the question?
We don't know that.
I don't know that.
So
He doesn't know that. So somebody's going to have to determine whether there's enough right of way.
One of the landowners is here and has already agreed to it. I get it.
But it's more than a handshake and a nod.
Okay, I understand
We-
that,
we
but you
understand
can't
that.
come to us on the 7th for the 15th either. I'm
I get
sorry.
it.
But you can't, you're putting,
There needs to be a legitimate sidewalk there
Yeah.
with mailboxes that
Turn
are
sideways.
turned sideways and in a green strip between a curb and the sidewalk.
Yeah.
That's Cleveland Street. Go to Village Green. I think you can do a Cape Cod berm with a sidewalk and meander it however you need to around trees. Move the mailboxes up off of the sidewalk. Perfectly fine. No issues.
on Village Green, I think they should all go on the opposite side. My opinion, I drove down there, drove around, 90% of them are on the inside. Put them all on the
On
inside.
Stanhope, they're all on the other side.
Yeah.
The mailman goes up and comes down, so he could deliver on either side.
They can, exactly.
Let me go back to, go right ahead.
I do want to ask about the Cape Cod berm, because there is no berm, it's just a slope. Like, it's not, there's
Yeah,
no,
That's what a Cape
That's
Cod
what a Cape
berm
Cod
is.
berm
It's a
is. It
very
usually has,
low
like-
profile- No, that's a monolithic or
Or a
a
breadboard
granite
berm.
is a high 8-inch berm.
okay,
That's what you're looking for.
Okay.
As opposed to
There is, a Cape Cod berm does have,
some shape.
there does have some shape. It's
About a
it's like a
6-inch rise.
triangular,
But that's all-
about a 4 to 6 inch rise.
That's only roughed in, so that's not really,
No, I agree, this
there's no
isn't,
curb machine that's gone down that.
no,
yet.
right.
Okay.
But the
It's
curb
roughed
machine
in.
would go along the road.
So it's not finished.
Puts a little hump
This
on
isn't
it.
finished, that's just binder. That's the base coat. You'd put the,
No, they said
That
Cleveland
one,
Street's
that,
finished.
That-
Village Green
well,
does
I-
not have top on.
That's
This does.
a berm, Tom?
That's not what Cape Cod.
that is not a Cape Cod berm, I'm sorry. Find me a
No,
definition.
let me, no, Tommy knows.
If I could speak for a second,
course you
Tom
can.
DePlacido. Cleveland Street was paved maybe in the last year and a half or so. That does have a Cape Cod berm that's on it. Okay. About a year and a half ago, we were before this board, I'm going to guess a year and a half ago. DPW director did bring these concerns to the board, and because of the neighbors, was trying to address these, did try to relocate mailboxes to the other side of the road, and actually had concerns with this. The board did vote at that time to give direction to the DPW to determine what was best after looking at everything with plans, rights of way, everything there with it. Cleveland Street is 100% complete. That's top coat on it, that's done. Village Green, we stopped. We did not complete that once this was brought up with the mailboxes and things. But a mailbox is not something I could just go move. I mean, that's the mail, that's, that's a federal offense if I start touching people's mailboxes with things. So, but this section of Cleveland is complete. There was a lot of work to do that. And as the director says, the grade does drop off significantly where it goes near that fence and stuff too. So, I mean, the only thing we have to do there is back that up with loam and hydroseed it at that point in time. So we had a lot of challenges this year with, there was a brand new water main that was put down Village Green. The road it actually went all the way down around through Stanhope. There was like a month or two that we couldn't work there on this, doing it. And we pushed really hard to make sure that we could get this done by October 15th with a lot of challenges. There was actually also a week or so that we couldn't even come down 115 to access this property because 115 was getting paved. The DPW does a tremendous amount of work here in town with paving and everything else. Norfolk's roads are really in great shape, I have to say that. But besides that, with all these challenges, we still did it, and we're trying to wrap it up, and we were looking to be done this week. So we would make that October 15th, even with all those challenges. But I did exactly what I was told to do on this through the board. So
I'd like to add also that I
move forward from there.
Obviously, I hear the concerns of the board, and I'm not adverse to putting granite curb down the side of Cleveland Street as requested from Rockwood Road to Village Green. I don't have an objection with that. If there is space, and I certainly don't know that sitting here, but if there is space to put a grass strip there, then I'm willing to do that also. But it certainly can't happen in the next 7 days. I don't have the capability to do that kind of work. That it goes out to a vendor, a sidewalk vendor that does that sort of construction. Anyone that's driven through Foxborough can see what a project that takes. It takes weeks to do curbing and sidewalk. So that being said, I am not adverse to going down that road to make it a priority for the spring. But we're a month out from winter weather here, and I don't see the possibility of ripping it up here with a month to go before possible snow.
So if that's going to be acceptable to the board and the town and the residents, we don't need a vote to do that, but we may need a vote to extend the time to allow for that.
Excuse me, can I?
Please, go right ahead. Just identify
Patricia
yourself.
Cruz, 6 Cleveland Street. I have lived on the corner of Village Green and Cleveland Street for almost 30 years. And I have watched over the last 3 or 4 years, people come out and measure where those sidewalks were going to be, engineers, at least 2 or 3 times. Or they pretended they were engineers. I don't know who it was, but they went out and measured this. I'm not out to throw anybody under the bus, but the money that has been spent and the money that has been wasted on this project is insane. You even question whether it's safe on Cleveland Street, those sidewalks, is absurd. We did come to discuss the mailboxes. There was no discussion about the sidewalks. They did talk about a berm or whatever. We were under the impression that Cleveland Street was going to have grass or some kind of space. I have 4 beautiful grandchildren, great kids. I don't want to worry about them getting hit by a car out on Cleveland Street because the sidewalk is right at the same side of the street. And no offense, you guys are very nice, but if they're done, could they come back and pick up the oil jug that they left and the water bottle in the middle of my yard? It's in the gully. I left it there because I figured you were coming back to reseed it. I mean, common sense would tell you this is unacceptable. The town has not been paying attention to this all this time. It makes no sense to me. Common sense, people. I don't know what else to say. It's nuts.
Yeah, thank you. I think David read to you what the decision was a year or 2 ago on it, and I think that's the path that we're getting towards now. Anybody else from the public?
My name is Tegan Guilfoyle. I live at 5 Village Green. My mailbox was highlighted as a mailbox that was in a good position, so I'm lucky. But I walk this route to the train every morning and dusk when it's dark out. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I've heard a lot mentioned about concerns about mail delivery and plowing. We have to plow maybe a dozen times a year, mails once a week, but I haven't heard a lot of value about the people who use the sidewalk. So I just want to make sure that that's a focus. Like, what's the point of a sidewalk
Sure.
if it's not safe? You know, it does feel very scary, and I feel like the sidewalk gives a false sense of security, particularly on Cleveland Street, you know, for children who are learning how to be safe in a community. I'm on the sidewalk, I'm safe. Well, I agree. I feel that it looks like an extension of the road, and it's terrifying being there with my kids who are running their face first into mailboxes. So I'm hopeful for this to get remedied.
Thank you.
Somebody on.
We do have somebody on Zoom. David Mastro.
Yes, David Mastro, 26 Lawrence Street. I know our sidewalks are about to happen shortly, and so I was hoping that, you know, we could make sure, like, because I know my mailbox is going to be in the way of the sidewalk coming in on Lawrence Street, and I kind of don't want to have to go through the same thing these people are going through. Is there any way to have meetings and measurements when people there before that comes very shortly before Mr. Placido? I don't know if he's responsible for it, doing the sidewalk, because I don't want to have to come back and do that. Because our street, now that it's got its first coat on it, I know it's not the finished pavement, but people now fly down the street because prior to that it was, you know, a really crappy road to drive down. So again, I don't want, you know, any issues as these people are going through.
Billy, could you address that?
Yeah, so Lawrence Street is a classic road where the roadway itself is up against the side of the right-of-way. That was the issue we had at town meeting a little over a year ago, where we tried to do a taking for the sidewalk, and it didn't pass. So the Lawrence Street sidewalk will go from the causeway to Eagle Drive, and it'll go up the right-hand side of the road until it crosses over at the top. And where it does cross over at the top, because the road is so far out of, or against the right-of-way, there is over 20 feet of right-of-way to the left-hand side of the road, which will lead up to Eagle Drive. There's plenty of space there to install the sidewalk as planned.
Thank you.
But will there be grass, then the sidewalk? So then,
Yes,
like,
that's how it's planned, yes.
Okay, because when they went to put the water line in, they didn't realize when they came to do it, the people, they didn't realize that was going to be a sidewalk. We had to go out and tell them to, you know, move it. So I just want to make sure that when the people come out, they measure properly and everything else. You know, it's just, I just feel like, you know, the people who go out to measuring aren't really knowing how to measure.
So I had an engineering team go out there this spring, and next to maybe your neighbor's house, the McCabe residence, there were grade stakes going out across the lawn there, showing exactly where the right-of-way was, because I didn't want, similar to what's happening here now, I wanted to have a visual marker there. I believe that they have been removed since then because they're unsightly, but that was the reason why that was all mapped out.
And I'm the same house of the McCabe's. That's
Okay.
my wife.
Yes.
But no, I'm just saying when they came to do the water line to put it off the line of Lawrence to put to other houses if we wanted to hook up, they weren't going to dig out that far enough to put it, and then they would have to ruin the sidewalk, you know, if another person came in later on if they wanted water. We had to tell people to do that. So not everyone is on the same you know, or in the same knowledge of what's going on. I don't think everyone's always on the right, you know, path there and how things are being done. So I just want to make sure if they could come out and maybe meet us to make sure we see it so that we don't have the same issue. And that would be great.
No problem.
David, thank you. Mr.
Thank you.
Placido?
I was wondering if I could...
You need a microphone, Tommy.
For TV, you need it, yeah.
This is real. Tom DePlacido again. I was just asking, just if I could have a 5-minute recess with this conversation where the DPW director and myself could talk just for about some technicalities and then come right back in. Maybe the board has something else they could discuss.
Sure.
And if that's okay.
Get a motion for a recess?
I make a motion, we take a 5-minute recess at 7:37.
So we'll reconvene at this at 7:45.
Oh, sorry, okay, yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Didn't have anything to
I had
change.
nothing either. You need time to look. Okay, so David and I didn't see anything.
I think they're great.
All
I
right.
think, Joe, you can sign them.
Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for the meeting of September 18th, 2024.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye, Joe
Aye.
Sebastiano.
Tim Martin, aye.
Josephine Kodahi, aye.
Mike Brogan, aye.
David Axberg, aye.
Which copy do I sign?
The good one.
Okay.
And we'll hold off voting about the October 6th meeting until we see how this ends up.
You give me that one now.
Yeah, I just,
Thank
the
you, sir.
comprehensive permit is the comprehensive permit. All we did was change whether the mailboxes could be moved to
We
the
didn't
other
even
side.
change it. We just said if they're going to go to the other side, you have to come back here first. If they're
Correct.
gonna be- right.
Correct. So we didn't change the permit. We realistically gave it to the DPW to keep it in line and check.
Within the context of
Yeah,
what was...
keep it to the context of what the permit
We
is.
didn't direct specifically where the mailboxes would go, but if they were to
Correct.
be moved to the other
And
side.
there was some
But it
meandering
was
of
supposed to be, like
the
you said, the
sidewalk.
berm, the grass strip.
Yep.
What's that?
Apparently it was voted, there was the berm, the grass
There was
strip.
supposed to be a grass strip and everything on the comprehensive permit.
It's a safety issue.
And it's in keeping with Rockwood Road.
Yeah, I think that.
There's sidewalks and
that should come all the
sidewalk.
way around. I think it's a very high traffic path now, because you can go uptown to back to the school, back around.
What
You
we'll
can
do
make
is
a
we'll
big
wait till
loop.
after the recess, because we don't want to deliberate amongst ourselves right
Oh,
now.
right.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
I'm kind of disappointed that we're actually here talking about this.
Yeah. Lily's been sick and I've been sleeping in it, so I think it was married on. She's been
Thanks. I made it.
By the way, I got
Well,
into
I
my
changed my
email.
meeting from a
I got into my email again.
5:30 meeting. I was able to get here, so I didn't think I was gonna, but
throwing in a basket once in a while. I think we're gonna invest in that sleeping thing this time too.
So we're just going to wait till 7:45 to reconvene this hearing.
You want to vote?
He wants to wait a second.
We voted the minutes.
Yeah, no.
I wanted to wait to vote until the October 16th until this is, you just never know.
How's Colleen doing?
she's doing all right. She was supposed to get a Botox injection today, and they bumped that to the 26th.
Oh, is she getting headaches?
She's getting some headaches and a couple other things, and they actually think the Botox might help with some of the spasms in the legs. So that's the biggest one. Because she can't.
Run the air.
Stayed on one side. I thought she had like a ramble or something.
I'm still on. How you doing? No.
Call it full recess, so you can still be heard.
Okay, all right. No problem.
$600.
But yeah, she's doing
Stitches on her
good.
side.
But
She had a hole
still
in the side.
rough. Thanks for
They
asking.
didn't put her down. They didn't do anything. They just stitched her off right there. Yeah, she's fast. It's gross. Pretty gross. So she's been, yeah, she's been.
Good?
I think you're good plan.
Okay, good.
Let's give it another minute or two. Gets anybody stepped out.
So, two houses we're talking about, they're the first two houses? Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
They just voted for it.
What about the rest of these houses? There's no sidewalk? No. Okay, it's really, this is where the sidewalk is?
Correct.
Okay. Correct.
We'll just give it another couple of minutes and then we'll open up this hearing again. And again, if anybody's on the Zoom call and they want to participate beyond listening, I think you got to hit that button and we'll acknowledge you.
Yes. Yeah, You gave him a couple extra minutes.
I did, I gave
Yeah,
too
go
much
back
time.
to 4.
Wasn't gonna take long. Cows get out lately?
No.
No?
Tuesday, I'm sending them all for the auction. I'm getting rid of them.
No, you didn't.
I am.
Oh, why is it beef hut?
No, we're just, because of Colleen's condition and a couple other things, we're just gonna take a break over the winter. I'll restock again.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we reconvene the hearing.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're back on the hearing now for the sidewalks, and I understand there may be further discussion between,
Yes, so Mr. DePlacido and I had a brief discussion about, obviously, the quickest way to find a remedy here that, obviously won't push us into spring. And so my suggestion here, with Mr. DePlacido's help, would be to cut back right at the edge of the sidewalk. Obviously, there's been concerns raised about not being enough of a definitive edge of the sidewalk there. So there is, rather than obviously granite curb, which takes a pretty major expense and a lot of time to do, that could be cut back, and we could put in what we call a 10-inch breadloaf berm, which is, I believe, what we were sort of referring to earlier, which is a very steep edge to that sidewalk from Rockwood Road up to Village Green. And then at that time, we wouldn't have the ability yet still to put in the grass strip, but we could make the sidewalk 5 feet wide there with landowner permission to be able to obviously put dirt or gravel on the backside, grass on the backside. Because of the width of the sidewalk, it would spill off of the right-of-way most likely, if not all the way in a few areas. So it addresses the sidewalk width, which was a concern. It addresses the mailbox at 5 feet. The mailbox could be at the edge of the breadloaf berm, obviously still turned parallel to the road. So it doesn't make it quite as obtrusive for 4 and 6 in order to get their mail. And at the same time,
So you're,
addresses the issue with the curb in a
Yes.
short time frame.
so you're saying put the post in the 5 foot, put the 4x4 in the 5 foot.
Along the
take up
breadloaf
the
turn.
8 inches of the mailbox and the width,
Yes.
and.
But 5 feet overall, giving you your
So
minimum
that you'll
48.
have more than, yeah, and then they still have vehicles. So the only thing that they're losing is an 18-inch grass berm, as opposed to having double grass on the inside.
Correct.
so I'm confused, would there be a grass berm there?
Not
No.
at this point.
No.
So-
He'll
but it would be
take the
5
walk,
foot
but-
wide,
Right.
the mailbox would be moved closer to the street
Right.
and run parallel.
But then if a car came in.
But the berm's gonna be
A substantial 10-inch berm.
Right, a perpendicular 10-inch breadloaf berm, straight up 10 inches in.
which is pretty much a granite size
So you're gonna-
berm,
Right.
but it's not made out of granite, it's made out of
Asphalt.
asphalt.
So you're gonna put down a 10-inch berm and put 2 inches on top on it. And it's gonna
Correct.
be finished out at 8 inches, the same as a piece of granite,
Yes.
typically,
Typically.
okay? So, and a car's not gonna go over a piece of 8-inch.
Right.
Not like this. It's gonna hold the plows off.
So in order to do that, we would ask for, to continue until the end of October. I think that's something that we could get done in the next few weeks, but
So do we have to then amend the comprehensive permit?
Yeah, you have to vote to extend it.
Yeah,
But
just-
do we have to vote to change
From a grass strip to
to the proposal?
or is that
Is that
inconsequential?
a minor modification?
I would say it's within the right-of-way, so
No,
it's
it's in the right-of-way.
inconsequential.
I would document as the DPW came back to us with the suggestion, and we,
Okay. Before we,
I'll have you vote it.
before you put it to a vote,
No, no,
I
no.
want to open it up to the public, just for further discussion and clarification.
especially, I think,
Please. Did folks understand what we were talking about, if it was clear? I'm not sure if it was clear.
I believe I do, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm not clear on whether or not that is a temporary thing.
no.
That would be the final
That-
part.
Is the end all be
That
all?
will be the end all be all.
Okay. And done in the spring?
No,
No,
within
that's it.
the next few weeks. And that was part of the problem we're trying to solve, is to
Gotcha.
not wait
Thank you. Okay.
until spring.
Okay.
And curb is just can't happen in that time frame because of all the moving pieces that it takes to get that done. So I'm trying to solve the problem in a short time frame and cover as many bases as I can.
Please, go right ahead.
I'm Donna Shar. I live at 11 Village Green. Obviously, this is a big compromise. This is not aesthetically as pleasing as granite curbs would be. When you look at the entrance into Tommy's development, it comes down, there's beautiful granite curbing on both sides of the road, entering into Village Green. Do I like this? No. I think it's cheap looking. I don't think it's as nice as it could be. And I'm sorry that we're all in this position, but I also, is it going to go from, right there is the entrance to your driveway. If you back up, there's a wide piece of grass that comes from Cleveland Street, which was always the kids' safety zone, stay on this side. Are you going to make at least grass on that side and move the sidewalk in a little bit on that bad corner? Do you have a picture that backs up to this?
Yeah, where's the other side of her driveway?
I don't have a picture going the other
So
direction.
the sidewalk goes into the woods, and I can only imagine the DPW director is going to keep the sidewalk going towards the woods line and not going towards the intersection. There's
Well, it doesn't now.
a huge grass strip there, huge grass strip.
Right,
It's got to connect.
Why don't they? There's a big space in between the two. Like, the new sidewalk goes up Cleveland Street and then just stops. And then there's a section, and then the old sidewalk's over here. Why would you not connect the two sidewalks? I thought the purpose was for people to be able to walk on the sidewalk all the way around.
You know, it doesn't yet.
It looks horrible.
That corner hasn't been
It has
finished.
nothing.
We'll take a look at
Nothing.
it.
Yeah, there's no tar at all.
And I mean, I don't want to be complaining, but this looks horrible. This absolutely looks horrible. And I don't think increasing the amount of asphalt by 8 inches up higher is going to make this any nicer looking. I know that there's a difference between asphalt and granite, but you look at what you built. You did a really nice job there. And I feel like it's a compromise. Yes, it's a compromise. Is it a good compromise? I don't think so.
If I can just
don't.
interject
Yeah, of
here.
course.
What is the edging that was being described if you build up the asphalt? Is there an edging?
Bread loaf berm.
It's
What-
bituminous, it's the same
Pavement.
thing.
Pavement.
Oh, it's
Pavement.
It's made out of asphalt.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's going to break down when you have the mailman driving his Jeep who drives 80 miles an hour on Village Green and he forgets the packages and then comes flying back down again. But you're telling him that by moving these mailboxes back, it's okay for him to drive up on the sidewalk and then plop down and then drive back up on the curve and plop down.
No. That mailbox is going to be on the edge of the sidewalk, at the road's edge. He cannot come off the
Good,
road.
and it's gonna be sideways.
He's going to reach his hand right in.
It's gonna be right there.
He's going
Kids can come by and-
He's going to like it.
Yes.
And to answer your question, a little bit about granite. Granite is used at entrances of subdivisions.
Yes.
It's not used on all the roads in this town. We either have Cape Cod or monolithic, or we have asphalt berm in 98% of the town roads, just so you get it. The granite is at entranceways because of the plows hitting it and torturing it.
Because of the price.
And the price, but
Yes,
we
I
require
understand
it.
that, but
We didn't require it. We required a perm. We required a curb.
Comprehensive, I think it may have been spelled out. I think we need to relook at what the comprehensive says.
Okay.
We could make a compromise for now, but there may be a time where that granite needs to go in, because I believe it said 5 feet, I believe it said 3 feet, and you read it tonight. I believe it says granite curb.
Does it spell out the curb? That's a huge.
Which, are you trying to find it?
We don't require.
A monolithic berm.
Monolithic,
Exactly.
okay.
So it's a
What are you reading from?
monolithic asphalt berm, one piece with the sidewalk.
I think
He's gonna pull up the
It is
perimeters.
decision final.
Yes, pounds.
online.
It's
Yeah,
online.
it is. I think that's the permit. I read through it. I thought it said,
It didn't say granite.
no. It says granted in for his development, but it didn't say it on.
Yeah.
It's an entrance to
Yeah.
a subdivision.
Correct.
I think that you need to come back out and look at from her mailbox back out to Rockwood Road. That corner
I said I
there
would do that.
So-
is,
So it is granite to a point, all right? It comes around that corner. I've been up there. I looked at this very specific. I would assume at that point, we're going to do a monolithic berm changeover from granite and get all the way to Village Green and end it. That's it, all right? So we're going to go all the way around that corner with that berm, so nobody can drive into that sidewalk. And it's an 8-inch berm. It's substantial. You're not
driving over it easily.
not in the car.
It's not just the
Well,
height too, but it's
my truck
it's the
might.
fact that
It's a
it's
straight
perpendicular
face,
to the
right.
road. It's 90 degrees to the road as opposed to whereas at Cape Cod is 45.
Right.
It's
okay.
very
I- it's a compromise. I understand at this point, we need to make a compromise. It's the 12th hour. This
Well,
is.
I think that's a good,
It's actually, Donna, it's not a compromise per the specs of the actual comprehensive permit. Monolithic versus a bread, it's not a compromise. They're actually making it bigger and better from what it was in the permit. So this is, their proposal tonight is better than what the comprehensive permit is on the curb.
Yes.
Not necessarily on the overall. But because of the mailboxes, bringing the mailboxes out to the bread box, I think is right and good. And I think that is going to benefit immensely. Now, the question was, did we have enough room to make a grass strip and a 5-foot? I would venture to say, you're correct. There's probably not enough room there to do all that because the streets weren't made for that originally. So the compromise is, and that's what we put into the DPW's hands, was to come up with a compromise. Come up with something that works, but yet, and I would agree, this doesn't look right. This doesn't look good. I think that bread box is going to look right. The bread loaf is going to look right. You're going to have a nice sidewalk. It's going to be 5 feet. The mailbox is going to be right on the road. I think it's going to look a whole lot better than what it looks like, and definitive.
And it sounds to me like, I'm not an expert at all in this area, but it sounds to me like it's going to be a better safety feature.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose
That's
of the
paramount
sidewalk.
to this
And that's what it's
whole-
for.
It
And
is
that's what everyone's been
paramount.
talking about.
If you want people to walk, and
Absolutely.
we have always walked
Yeah.
from here, or through the development where Tommy put the path. The kids use that now to go to school. But I just think that backing this up needs a whole new look at.
Yep.
That needs to be
And it will be.
readdressed. And I just want to ask, you said this was final. Are the sidewalks on Village Green final, or is that?
Cleveland Street sidewalks do have the top course. That was 100% done. On Village Green, we stopped at the binder when the mailbox issue was brought to our attention.
So soon they'll be putting the final coat out.
Tonight, the board is going to have to decide where the mailboxes are going to go. Once that can happen, then we can put the final course on Village Green.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else? in
One
the
more
audience?
thing. If you look at that picture,
Yes.
I'm just using some common sense here, I don't know. If you move the mailbox out, the mailbox is now going to be in Cleveland Street. Not, not the post, but the mailbox itself.
It's going to be turned.
it's turned sideways.
Turn it.
Facing like me right now.
The mailbox
turn this
is going to go,
mailbox.
the mailbox is going to go the opposite
It'll run
direction.
parallel to the street.
It will run parallel to the street, not perpendicular.
There's a lot of streets that do that.
There's a lot
Yeah,
of
I wish
streets
mine
in
had
town.
that.
Yeah, it saves the kids from hitting them with the baseball.
I know.
bat.
I think this gentleman had a question.
Yeah,
I have a minor non-mailbox related, but sidewalk related question. When you complete the sidewalks on Village Green, will it include adding pavement at the end of our driveways to get rid of currently there's still a bit of a drop off?
If you're, once again, Tom DePlacido, for those at home, if your driveway is on the side of the sidewalk, actually I had my guys today go back and cut in, so that we have an inch and a half where when we come by with the sidewalk, that makes a nice apron into your driveway, so it'll be flush with your existing driveway. Our intent was never to change any grades in your driveway and have the sidewalks meet that, but this will give a nice clean look as we come by. And I think maybe in one driveway we went back like an extra foot just because it was all cracked up and stuff, and we just wanted to fix the driveway a little bit so it wasn't left like that. But we actually went through and trimmed those all up today because it was our intent to actually pave those Wednesday or Thursday of this week and have all the sidewalks done and put the grass and back that up with loam and be completed this week on that.
Go ahead, sir. Just identify yourself, please.
Ryan Hartmeyer on 24 Village Green. So I just wanted to, 2 points. One, I just wanted to clarify that what we're deciding here was with that bread loaf in, and then to accommodate that extra space, the sidewalks can be widened by another foot. I think I said going from 4 feet to 5 feet total to accommodate that extra post width.
On Cleveland Street
On Cleveland,
only.
yeah.
Okay.
So that, okay, so that's going to be widened. Okay, good. I was pretty sure of that. So now for us on Village Green, I guess it's just on the town side, outside of this other thing, but because it's switched, and I think I got the terms right, going from the Cape Cod now, but before we had the bread box before, and there's a height difference there.
Not on Village Green. The only place getting the bread box is Cleveland
No.
Street.
We had a bread box before, and now it's the Cape Cod. So now there's a drop from our grass to where that curb is.
on lower Village Green.
Okay.
Yeah, so like,
Oh,
there's,
we have
there's
some
kind of a
photos,
height
Amy?
difference, a grading thing from where our grass is to where the new curb is now.
We're on the opposite side of the sidewalk.
Not sidewalk, just there's no sidewalk on our side, but like just how that the road is ending now, switching from the bread box to the Cape Cod style end, and there's now a vertical difference from our lawn to where the new road is.
Right, so once they get done, obviously, they've still got some work to do there, but when they go through and do that, they will meet all the grades where they need to be. There's still a lot of dirt work that needs to be done, backfilling and land work, essentially, over the next few weeks.
Does that mean our
So-
lawn's going to grade down
A little
to
bit,
the road?
a little bit. They'll have to take that out and then, do some seeding and clean it up.
Okay.
But there's some work to be done there within the right of way. Also, I'd like to take a moment and just to realize that with this discussion that we're having with the 5-foot sidewalk, 4 and 6, we're going to have to look at, we're talking about safety, pedestrian safety, and because of the way that the land drops off on the back side of the sidewalk, we're going to have to backfill that sidewalk. So in order so that that doesn't wash away every time it rains, and we've had some pretty nasty rains over the last couple of years, we're going to need to backfill some material in there, and that's going to most likely encroach on 4 and 6's property in order to make that work. And so I
I
just,
don't have a problem with that. but I mean,
okay, I want to make sure that we're having that discussion and we're
Flooding?
covering all of it. Excuse me?
Go in the yard, if you do that?
It doesn't change, it's not turning into a funnel. You won't get any more water than you got before. I'm just concerned with, obviously, somebody walking off the back side of the sidewalk the same as they might walk off the front side. So I just want to make sure we're having that discussion, so a week from now, we don't get back into having to figure it all out.
Yeah, I think it's
Just identify yourself again. You guys
Maggie
pass the
Weil
microphone
for
around.
Cleveland. Sorry. I think it'll be better as far as the runoff, especially with that new berm that you're talking about, the bread loaf, whatever. It'll be higher and channel the water, because before it was just coming right into you've dealt with that. Sorry. Yeah, so I'm fine with the backfill there. What about the tree?
So we'll have to be cautious around the tree, obviously the root system that's there, and
If it has to come down, that's fine. I'm just saying.
if the tree is in the right of way, that's a problem unto itself.
Okay.
It's a public shade tree at that point, and so it gets into a whole different,
Gotcha. I don't know if it's
a whole different set of circumstances and
Okay.
issues. So we'll do everything we can to not disturb the roots of that tree, but
Great.
we will address that as we get into it.
And as far as moving the mailbox, is that something that like we'll be in touch? Someone will.
We're going to try to do it as quickly, so when we go to pull the mailbox, we'll try to address that as quickly as possible.
So do we have to have a new post ready to go?
I'm not sure yet. I
Okay.
don't want to make you a promise I can't keep, and I want to, let me get out there and take a look at it,
Okay.
and then we can figure that out, but.
Awesome. Thank you.
My new post gonna be
We'll-
ruined now?
We'll take care of it. Did they put that in concrete? Do you remember? I wasn't there for
see any
that.
concrete.
Well, then that's good.
I think ours might be in concrete.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right, is there anybody else on Zoom or in the audience who we haven't heard from yet? All right, anybody on the board? So I think we're going to need a motion to amend the comprehensive permit to allow the change to the sidewalk width and the berm, and extend the time for that?
Yes, please.
And then you're gonna go to Village Green next?
Yep.
Do we want to keep them separate? Do you want to?
Isn't it one permit? Isn't it?
One permit.
Why don't we go to Village Green now?
Let's
then
go to
do it
Village
one.
Green and deal with it. So, I think that's easy.
Yeah, why don't we go to
So Village Green, I thought
I think it's,
the mailboxes either need to be on the road and turn sideways or on the backside of the sidewalk,
you
correct?
No, either across the street or on the backside, because there isn't enough room.
Okay.
There isn't enough room at the curb
Okay,
to facilitate, because you're at only 48 inches.
okay. So it's either the backside of the sidewalk or the opposite side of the street. Okay.
So I think the preference is to move them to the other side of the street.
yeah.
Good question.
So before we get off Cleveland Street, is there anything that still needs to be done then, or will something else be done when you look at where 4 Cleveland Street's mailbox is and driveway, going back towards Rockwood Road?
I'd be that I don't have a picture of it.
Right,
I'll
I was
take a
looking at
look
it
and
from a
address-
Google's map, but is there anything planned to be done there that's not there today?
Not that I'm aware of, but that doesn't mean that something can't be done while we're there working.
Yeah, because it really looks like it's just a kind of a walking path over the grass.
Yeah, that should have been a walk, that should have been a sidewalk
Right.
all the way to
Right,
Rockwood.
and I just
Over at the
mentioned.
corner.
Right,
We're gonna
because,
be there doing other work, we'll take a look at it.
right, so that's basically
So we
from
gotta word
the
that.
4 Cleveland Street driveway to the meeting of Rockwood Road, where you have a sidewalk and an apron for the, for, it's a ramp down for the
We'll put that in our finding.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so moving on to Village Green. We got some photos up there. So the option is really just to move the mailbox back or to the other side of the street.
He's like 88 years old, and his wife is that old too. Like, can we just leave the parents' mailbox turned in?
Because they could still park on that side.
Yeah.
Right.
Just identify yourself, because folks at home won't know who's speaking, that's all.
You can't repeat it.
Is the green button on? Okay.
Donna
We have
Shaw,
some
11
elderly
Village
folks that
Green.
reside there.
They're elderly. They've lived there forever, and they're not well. So I don't think it's a good idea to move it across the street.
So keeping it on that side would be helpful
Keeping it
to
on
them.
that side and maybe turning it would, which would be beneficial, and it wouldn't bother them, I don't think, to have it turned.
On the other side
So
of the
the
driveway.
issue that I've had here is that the gentleman doesn't want it moved back because he parks his camper or something along those lines there.
On the other side.
What about the
Yeah,
other side of his driveway?
Yeah, and
That's a possibility, but again, it would have to be turned because
Yes, it has
it's
to
over
be
the
turned, sure.
48-inch sidewalk, so.
Yes.
You can put it in that corner, the grass corner?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do that. Let's-
and face it towards the
And face it
existing
toward-
mailbox.
Yep.
Yeah. Put it in
If
the
he walks
grass.
down the driveway, he can open
facing
his
the driveway.
mailbox.
He's not here to speak for himself, so I
Right, but he can pull it in his car and get his mail there.
Right, at least the
Okay,
driveway would be
that-
cleared and...
That's, yeah.
And then he can get his trailer in and out without taking out his mailbox.
Right.
I hope so.
Drive up.
Well-
He drives to pick up his mail. He drives onto the side.
Okay,
Right, so
okay. So
that one's good.
all right.
Okay.
Yeah. The corner facing this way, I think, is good for that one.
Like the far
So-
corner facing this.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to vote for that. 'cause
Like,
he is,
can I
Yeah, right.
make a recommendation
right there.
that we let the DPW director take each one of these on a case-by-case down
Yeah, I don't
there?
think he needs our direction.
I don't think
Unless
he
he's
needs
gonna
our
change the side
direction
of the
on the
street.
mailbox.
No, I don't
Is
think we
anyone
have to tell
recommending
you.
change
I
the
think-
mailbox to the other side
I
of the
think,
street?
why don't you go talk to them, and whatever, you come up with an agreement with them on that?
And that's
See
kind of how
easily
I've been trying to,
Sure.
you know, we've had a
That's fine
couple of
with me.
issues
I
with
don't see-
trees.
I wouldn't change the side of the
I've
street.
been
They're
trying
very
to
old.
to
Yeah.
interact with residents on a case-by-case basis and
Yeah, that's fine, Michael.
figure things out.
Yeah.
And
So,
I think
Are
us,
you gonna move the other ones?
as a board,
Well,
we'd rather leave them on that same side of the street that they were on, if
Right.
possible.
Because people. are
If you
used to it.
can't, then talk with the homeowner or whatever, and maybe we can put that
A
in,
couple
come
of
up with
residents that I
something.
talked to, it was aesthetics really more than anything, because
Sure.
it does look, you know, when all of your neighbors all have, you know,
Mailboxes and then
is
you
there
go.
anybody else
Direction,
here
and
from
then-
Village Green?
yours is turned the other way. It looks,
Zoom or-
it looks
Well, I think,
odd.
so I think very clearly should be on the record tonight, though, okay? That if the mailbox stays on that side, it's the back of the sidewalk, you're gonna have to clean out your mailbox.
Absolutely.
From snow.
Absolutely.
And that means significant amount of snow removal work, because it's gonna be significantly off the road, so. And then whoever you sell to down the road better realize they're gonna be doing it. So we're making these accommodations. I don't want people to sit here on October 7th and then realize when it's February and you got 4 feet of snow to move it, you gotta do the work
But can they be,
and clean.
can they be, I don't know where they are on each house, but can they be located near the driveways? Because people tend to clear their driveways.
I think most of them are, I believe.
Right, I see your point about the sidewalks not
Yeah.
getting cleared.
I gotta shovel my mailbox whether there's a
Yeah, I
sidewalk
do
or not, so.
And mine's on the opposite side of the street.
Yeah.
I do too. I'm just saying.
So,
Just common sense.
right.
It is.
It's just
Well,
making-
no, frankly, no, it's not.
It's not
Right.
common
No,
sense.
it's not.
It's not common
No,
sense.
I wouldn't raise the issue if it was common sense, because that's the calls that we get,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Come in.
unfortunately, so.
Yeah.
I would love to say it's all common sense and
In
people wouldn't
reality,
care,
it is
but
common sense, but there's a lot of people that
And
don't
down
have
the road, I
that.
don't know, is there anything that prohibits
There
a
you go.
homeowner from moving their mailbox as long as the postmaster?
I don't think so. I mean,
Right? So
The
if someone
postmaster
gets tired
just.
of digging out
he
their
just
own
won't
mailbox in
deliver.
the future, I guess they
That's
can
all.
move it.
He just
I know they won't deliver,
Do you want
but,
to
you
make a
know.
motion?
Yeah, let's go.
Go right ahead.
I motion,
So you want a motion on relative to Cleveland Street?
I would like the the Cleveland Street, we're gonna do the berm, 5-foot sidewalk, move the 2 mailboxes parallel to the street.
Remaining on the same side of the street as the residents.
In the 5-foot walk, on the
Yep.
edge. And then on
Not
Village,
to impede the sidewalk.
right, it cannot be any impeding on the 48 inches of
Right.
Right.
ADA.
Right, it's going to be
needed.
AD compliant.
Okay, and then as far as Village Green, I would leave it to the DPW director on an individual
Case
basis.
by case.
To come up with a solution on that with the homeowner directly.
Is Cleveland, is the berm and the bread box, are they the same thing?
Yeah, so it's gonna be a hard berm like this, rather
Yeah.
than something that's
Yes.
45, like that the plow can just go up on, it's gonna be something hit, but, yeah.
And
Oh,
the
yes.
timeline, Michael, on your...
So I would give them till, what,
The end of the month.
I give them to November 15th, you know, yeah.
Right.
I'd give them, yeah.
Will that be
Give 'em-
adequate?
The asphalt plants will be open.
I hope so.
Yes.
If not, just
We're
some,
going to try to do a lot of it in-house, so that helps.
Well, to be conservative, just do November 15th.
Okay,
right?
no,
Just do a
that's
month.
right.
So that's the
Right,
motion
yeah.
before the
Yeah.
board. Essentially,
the
Michael's
next
made a
meeting is
motion
the 20th.
based on the compromise, we call it a compromise solution for Cleveland Street and on Village Green, on Village Green, the DPW.
Cleveland
director.
Street is sidewalk and berm from Rockwood Road to Village Green.
Correct.
Correct. From Rockwood Road's existing sidewalk to Village Green new sidewalk.
Yep.
So if there's 10 feet that's not paved there, that's getting paved.
That's
Has to
gonna
be
get
connected.
paved. Yep,
getting
It needs to be
connected.
connected.
The whole idea of this was to have
connect
people walk.
sidewalks.
To connect sidewalks for kids.
Yep.
So,
Parents.
and I'm good, I'm
And on
good,
and on
I'm good
Village
with that.
Green, the DPW director will coordinate with the owners if the mailboxes are to be relocated.
Yeah, to meet
On the
meet
same
ADA
side of the
In compliance
requirements.
with ADA, obviously.
Right.
All right.
All right, I can second that.
Are there any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye, Joe Sebastiano.
Tim Martin, aye.
I, Josephine Kodahi.
I am Mike Brogan.
Hi, David Axbert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have good roads in Norfolk, just saying.
What's that?
We have good roads in Norfolk.
We do have good roads. We have really good roads.
They are, but they're good.
Thank you.
No, they're really.
Yeah, but you're doing good. So good. You fix what needs to be fixed, and we keep going.
The onus is to take care of downtown next, probably, depending on what happens with sewer and grid,
Yeah,
and then make it into some of the subdivisions.
that would be.
There you go.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you. Have a good night. David, I'll let you take over from here because we have one more item on the agenda.
What's the one more item on the agenda?
Did you want to vote to cancel the October 16th ZBA meeting?
Why don't you do that? You've been doing a great job all night tonight.
You gentlemen did a great job this evening.
I wasn't planning on being here, but I can't. Let's close the hearing and then.
No, we voted that, so that's voted, so.
And then you can
So now that,
vote to cancel the 16th.
there's nothing on the agenda for the
Cancel the
16th,
16th.
and there won't be,
No,
so
you have a night off.
I make a motion to cancel
cancel.
the meeting for October 16th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we close tonight's meeting.
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's a vote.
Thank you, Andrew.